Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about two powerful forces that shape our lives every single day: discipline versus delay. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when we don't feel like doing it. It's the daily grind, the early mornings, the sacrifices, and the silent victories no one sees. Discipline is the fuel behind success, growth, and self-respect. It doesn't shout, it performs. Delay, on the other hand, is the silent thief of dreams. It wears many disguises: procrastination, excuses, fear, even comfort. It tells us there's more time, that we can do it tomorrow. But tomorrow often becomes next week, next month, or never. Every goal we've ever set lies at a crossroads between discipline and delay. One road is tough, but leads to achievement. The other is easy, but ends in regret. We don't lose because we're not talented. We lose because we delay. Choose discipline today so you don't regret delay tomorrow. Because when you delay your potential, you're delaying your purpose. Discipline is not just a habit, it's the very backbone of achievement in any area of life. Whether it's academics, career, relationships, health, or personal growth. While motivation can inspire you to start, it's discipline that keeps you going when the excitement fades. Every successful individual, from athletes and artists to entrepreneurs and leaders, shares one common trait. They practice discipline daily, even when they don't feel like it. It's easy to set goals. It's even easier to talk about dreams. But what turns those goals into reality is the ability to wake up early when no one is watching, to stick to routines when distractions are tempting, and to keep moving forward despite setbacks. Discipline means choosing action over excuses, long-term gains over short-term pleasures, and responsibility over comfort. In a world full of shortcuts and instant gratification, discipline stands as a silent superpower. It doesn't always give immediate results, and often it feels thankless in the beginning. But over time, discipline compounds. The more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. It trains your mind to focus, your body to obey, and your character to grow. Discipline pushes you through the hard days, the failures, the frustrations. And that persistence is what truly separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Success isn't accidental. It's not based solely on luck, talent, or connections. It is built brick by brick, with the decisions we make every day. And the first brick, the strongest one, is always discipline. Delay may seem harmless in the moment, a simple decision to put something off until tomorrow. But beneath that small choice lies a powerful force that can quietly erode progress, motivation, and dreams. Delay doesn't arrive with warning signs. It doesn't shout or make a scene. It whispers gently, "You can do it later," "You're too tired now," or "There's still time." And so, we listen. And that's where the damage begins. Progress is built on momentum, on steady forward movement, no matter how small. When we delay, we break that rhythm. What was once a spark of motivation slowly dims, and the gap between intention and action begins to widen. Days turn into weeks, and weeks into months, and before we realize it, we've made a habit of postponing what truly matters. The real danger of delay is not just the loss of time, it's the loss of belief. With each task we postpone, we quietly send a message to ourselves. This can wait. Or worse, I can't do it. That message, repeated over and over, weakens our confidence, our self-discipline, and eventually, our identity. We stop seeing ourselves as doers, achievers, or dreamers, and instead become watchers of our own potential slipping away. What makes delay especially dangerous is its comfort. It allows us to avoid discomfort, responsibility, and effort in the short term. But what it gives in ease, it takes back tenfold in regret. When we delay learning, we stay ignorant. When we delay action, we stay stuck. When we delay growth, we remain in the same place while others move forward. Delay is not just a passive force, It is an active barrier to change. It doesn't just hold you back, it keeps you from even trying. It feeds fear, nurtures doubt, and slowly convinces you that now is never the right time. We often imagine success as a sudden breakthrough, a big moment, a lucky chance, a dramatic achievement. But in reality, success is rarely the result of a single event. It is shaped quietly, invisibly, and consistently through the small habits we repeat every day. These tiny actions, seemingly insignificant on their own, stack up over time to shape our character, our mindset, and ultimately, our future. Think of habits like bricks in a building. One brick may not seem like much, but when laid carefully, day after day, they form the foundation of a strong, unshakable structure. The same applies to our lives. A habit of waking up early, reading 10 pages of a book, practicing a skill for 20 minutes, eating healthy meals, or writing down daily goals. These are not heroic acts, but they are powerful. Repeated over time, they form a routine. And that routine becomes a lifestyle. That lifestyle becomes your identity. What we do occasionally makes little difference. What we do consistently, however, defines who we become. The future doesn't arrive all at once. It is built slowly, piece by piece, through the choices we make when no one is watching. The decision to study instead of scrolling, to exercise instead of lounging, to speak kindly instead of reacting in anger. These moments may feel small, but they carry weight. Over time, these habits compound. They create momentum. They build discipline. And they set you on a path that leads directly to the goals you once only dreamed of. It's easy to underestimate small steps because they don't offer instant results. There's no applause, no reward, no immediate transformation. But the truth is, every great journey begins with a small, repeated action. If you want to change your life, don't wait for a dramatic moment. Start with your daily habits. Start with the little things, because they are the ones that shape everything. One of the most dangerous things about delay is that it rarely looks dangerous. It doesn't feel like a threat. In fact, it often feels like the safer, easier, more comfortable option. That's what makes it so deceptive. Delay doesn't always come with panic or pressure. Sometimes it comes wrapped in the soft illusion of peace. It whispers, "Take a break. You deserve to rest. There's no rush." Or, "You're not ready yet." And while there's nothing wrong with rest or caution in their proper place, delay uses these as disguises to slow you down, and sometimes to stop you entirely. Comfort is not the enemy, but excess comfort is the breeding ground for delay. When we stay too long in our comfort zones, we begin to resist growth. We avoid challenges. We put off hard conversations, uncomfortable tasks, and necessary changes. Not because we can't face them, but because we've convinced ourselves we shouldn't have to. We begin to prefer temporary ease over long-term gain, and slowly, without even realizing it, we allow dreams to gather dust. Delay thrives in this environment. It feeds off the belief that there will always be a better time, a quieter season, a more motivated version of ourselves, or a more perfect opportunity. But that ideal moment never truly arrives. Life is always busy, always imperfect, always challenging in one way or another. And the more we wait for ideal conditions, the more we give power to delay, and the further we drift from what we were meant to do. What's even more dangerous is that delay disguised as comfort can be socially acceptable. People may not question you if you say, "I'm taking time to figure things out," or "I'm waiting until I'm more confident." These sound reasonable. But deep down, you know when you're genuinely preparing and when you're simply avoiding. Comfort can become a trap, a soft cage that keeps us stuck while giving the illusion of rest. True growth often begins where comfort ends. It begins in the stretch, in the effort, the risk, the discomfort of showing up before you feel ready. And every time you choose comfort over courage, you make it harder to take that first step. Discipline is often seen as a strict or demanding force, something that restricts freedom or makes life less enjoyable. But in reality, Discipline is one of the most empowering tools we can possess. It doesn't just help us meet goals, it strengthens the way we see ourselves. Every time we follow through on a commitment, complete a task we didn't feel like doing, or resist a temptation for the sake of a bigger purpose, we build a deeper sense of inner trust. That trust turns into confidence. That confidence grows into self-respect. Confidence isn't something we're born with. It's something we earn through action. When you tell yourself, "I'm going to wake up early tomorrow," and you actually do it, you send a message to your subconscious mind. I can rely on myself. And that message, when repeated through daily disciplined actions, becomes a belief. A belief that you are capable, that you are responsible, that you are in control. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about consistency. You don't have to be flawless to build confidence. You just have to show up for yourself, again and again, even on the hard days, especially on the hard days, because those are the days when discipline counts the most. When no one is watching, when you're tired, when distractions are tempting. Choosing discipline in those moments is what separates fleeting motivation from lasting self-worth. Self-respect isn't built on talk. It's built on evidence. It's built on the quiet victories. Choosing to study when others are partying, sticking to your fitness plan when it would be easier to skip, staying focused on your work when your mind wants to wander. These choices might not be glamorous or dramatic, but they shape who you become on the inside. And the more you keep your promises to yourself, the stronger your sense of identity becomes. The opposite is also true. Every time you break a promise to yourself, by giving in to delay, distraction, or excuses, your inner trust weakens. You begin to doubt yourself. You start to see discipline as something you can't maintain instead of something you're capable of choosing. And that cycle quietly eats away at your self-belief. On the surface, delay often feels like relief, a moment of rest, an escape from pressure, a way to avoid discomfort. But beneath that temporary comfort lies a brewing storm. The longer we delay important tasks, responsibilities, or decisions, the heavier the emotional weight becomes. What we thought was a break quickly turns into a burden. And that burden shows up in the form of stress, anxiety, guilt, and even shame. When we put things off, we don't actually free ourselves from them. Instead, we carry them with us. In the back of our minds, in our distracted thoughts, in the quiet unease we feel, even during leisure. That unfinished assignment, that ignored responsibility, that postponed goal, they linger. They whisper to us at night, haunt us in our quiet moments, and create a constant sense of pressure that builds over time. This pressure is not caused by the task itself, but by the avoidance of it. The more we delay, the more the task grows in our minds. A small chore becomes a mountain. A simple email becomes overwhelming. A single step forward begins to feel impossible. And with that mental build-up comes stress, not just about the work, but about ourselves. We start to question our ability, our discipline, our worth. Why can't I just do it? Becomes a recurring thought, and guilt begins to take root. Guilt is the emotional tax we pay for delay. It arises from the gap between what we should be doing and what we're actually doing. It gnaws at our sense of responsibility and can quickly lead to self-criticism. The more we delay, the more we feel we're falling behind. Not just in tasks, but in life. And that guilt, when left unchecked, can turn into self-doubt, frustration, and even burnout. What's even more damaging is the pattern delay creates. Once we feel stressed and guilty, we become even less motivated to act. We try to escape those feelings by delaying again, which only makes the emotion stronger. It becomes a cycle: delay, stress, guilt, then more delay. And unless we break that cycle with intentional action, it continues to drag us further from our goals and peace of mind. When we think of success, we often picture moments of intense effort. Long hours of studying before an exam, an all-night sprint to meet a deadline, or a burst of motivation that drives someone to work out for hours. While these moments can be impressive, they are not what truly builds lasting success. What makes the real difference is consistency, the quiet, steady effort that is applied day after day, week after week, regardless of mood, weather, or circumstances. Intensity can start a journey, but consistency is what finishes it. Anyone can work hard for one day. Anyone can make a massive effort when they're inspired. But very few people show up, rain or shine, in excitement or exhaustion, and give their best effort regularly. That's what separates the dreamers from the achievers. Discipline fuels that consistency. It turns a moment of motivation into a lifestyle of momentum. Think of the difference like this. A flood can make a big impact in one day, but a slow, steady stream carves through stone. The power of small, repeated actions over time is far greater than one burst of extreme effort. Whether it's reading a few pages daily, practicing a skill for 20 minutes, exercising regularly, or even writing one paragraph a day, those actions may seem small, but they add up to enormous results over time. The problem with intensity is that it often fades. Motivation is emotional, and emotions change. One day you're energized, the next day you're tired. One week you're focused, the next you're overwhelmed. If your progress depends on how intense or inspired you feel, you will constantly stop and start. That inconsistency becomes frustrating. It breaks your rhythm and makes it harder to rebuild momentum. Consistency, on the other hand, creates stability. It builds habits. It trains your brain and body to operate on routine instead of mood. When you show up consistently, even with small efforts, you begin to develop trust in yourself. You learn that progress doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be deliberate and regular. Over time, these consistent efforts become part of who you are. You no longer have to force yourself. You simply act out of habit. And perhaps the most powerful part of consistency is that it protects you from the extremes. You don't need to push yourself to the brink or recover from burnout. You don't rely on panic or deadlines to get things done. You simply keep going, one small step at a time. And that quiet discipline builds a powerful, unshakable momentum. At the heart of every disciplined life lies a simple but powerful truth. You cannot have everything at once. To gain something meaningful, you must give something up. That is the very nature of sacrifice. Discipline is the art of choosing what matters most over what you want right now. It's the willingness to let go of short-term pleasures in order to reach long-term goals. And that choice, though difficult, is what defines growth. Sacrifice doesn't always mean losing something big. Often, it's the small daily decisions that make the biggest impact. Waking up early means sacrificing extra sleep. Sticking to a study schedule means sacrificing time with friends. Saving money for your future means sacrificing temporary luxuries. Eating healthy means giving up comfort food. Each of these choices may seem like a loss at first, but they are actually investments. Investments in your future, your health, your dreams, your identity. What makes discipline challenging is that the rewards are delayed. You don't see immediate results. You don't feel instantly successful. But that's what makes discipline powerful. It teaches you patience, resilience, and focus. You begin to realize that not all rewards are instant, and not all effort is wasted just because it's not immediately recognized. The real value of sacrifice is often invisible in the beginning, but becomes undeniable in the end. On the flip side, a lack of discipline, choosing comfort, distraction, or pleasure in the moment, may feel good instantly, but often leads to regret. Skipping a workout feels easy now, but it costs you progress. Procrastinating on your work feels relaxing now, but it builds pressure later. Spending recklessly feels exciting now, but it leads to stress down the road. These small indulgences may not seem like sacrifices at all, but they are. You're sacrificing your future potential for present ease. Discipline forces you to make conscious choices. What am I willing to give up to achieve what I truly want? It requires you to prioritize. It asks you to say no, not just to distractions or temptations, but sometimes to good things that are simply not the best things. And that can be hard. It can be lonely. It can feel unfair when others around you seem to enjoy what you're giving up. But it's also empowering, because sacrifice, when done with purpose, gives your effort meaning. It turns your actions into a reflection of your values and your time into a tool for transformation. Opportunities are like open doors. They appear, they invite us in, but they don't stay open forever. In life, some chances are rare. Some moments are fragile. And while the right opportunity can change your future, delay can quietly and quickly shut that door before you even take a step. One of the most painful lessons people learn too late is this: not acting in time is often the same as not acting at all. Delay is not always loud or dramatic. It rarely announces that an opportunity is slipping away. It happens in silence, through hesitation, overthinking, waiting for the perfect moment, or telling yourself, "I'll do it tomorrow." But while you're waiting, the world moves on. That job you didn't apply for gets filled. That idea you didn't share gets launched by someone else. That person you wanted to talk to moves away. The timing changes. The window closes. Opportunities are not just about luck. They're about readiness and responsiveness. Life rewards those who are prepared and disciplined enough to act when the moment arrives. But when delay becomes a habit, it dulls your instincts. It weakens your sense of urgency. It tricks you into believing that time is infinite and that chances will always come back. The truth is, some doors, once closed, do not reopen. Even worse, delay can lead to a life filled with what-ifs. What if I had spoken up? What if I had started that project? What if I had taken that chance when it was right in front of me? These questions don't haunt you because you failed. They haunt you because you never tried. And that's the greatest cost of delay: the loss of unrealized potential. It's important to understand that opportunities aren't always grand or obvious. Sometimes they show up disguised as challenges, new beginnings, or even moments of discomfort. But if you're not disciplined enough to push past fear or laziness, you may never even recognize them. Delay blinds you to possibility. Discipline sharpens your awareness and readies your response. Those who succeed in life aren't always the most talented or the most fortunate. They're often the ones who were bold enough to act while others were still hesitating. They didn't wait for the stars to align. They acted with courage and commitment, even if they weren't completely sure, because they understood that some chances come only once, and delay can turn opportunity into regret. One of the most profound truths in life is that the future is not something distant or abstract. It is being shaped in this very moment by the choices you make, the habits you repeat, and the mindset you carry. It's easy to think of the future as something that will arrive someday. But the reality is, your future begins with today. Every action, or inaction, is a seed planted, and eventually those seeds will grow into outcomes you must live with. Discipline is the pen with which we write our future. It gives us control. It allows us to take ownership of our path. When you choose discipline, when you make the tough decision to do what needs to be done rather than what feels easy, you're not just improving your present moment. You're building the foundation for what comes next. Every hour spent learning adds to your wisdom. Every workout improves your health. Every act of courage strengthens your character. These things don't fade. They accumulate. On the other hand, delay is also writing your story, just with a different ink. It writes with excuses, with hesitation, with lost chances. It tells a tale of unfulfilled plans, postponed goals, and wasted time. Delay makes you a passive character in your own life, watching as time passes and possibilities shrink. The dangerous part is that this story is written slowly, almost invisibly. You may not notice the effects of delay after one day or 1 week, but over months and years, it becomes painfully clear that your life moved forward, but you didn't. Time is always moving. The question is, are you moving with it or are you standing still? The future isn't waiting for you to be ready. It isn't going to pause until you feel more confident, more motivated, or more comfortable. It keeps arriving every single day, whether you act or not. That's why discipline matters, because it helps you stay in motion. It turns your goals into systems. It converts dreams into progress. It transforms the someday into today. The most successful people didn't wait for perfect conditions to begin. They understood that the path to their future was being paved in the present moment, with focus, effort, and discipline. They saw today as an opportunity, not an obstacle. They realized that each moment is a building block for what comes next, and they used discipline to make those moments count.